Did you know that Karl Marx was actually related to the Rothschilds? Actually, that's true. And he was financed by the Rothschilds, and it's basically proven the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Nathan Rothschild had given Karl Marx 2 checks for several £1,000s to finance the cause of socialism. The checks were put on display at the British Museum after Lord Lionel Walter Rothschild, the trustee, had willed his museum and library to them. So it's actually proven, and Karl Marx was actually related to the Rothschild family. I'll put down the actual relation, how that goes. It's a little bit convoluted down in the information box. But both the extreme right and extreme left of conventional political spectrum are totally, absolutely collectivist. They both recommend totalitarian political economic systems based upon unfettered political power and coercing the individual. So all their ideology and all their cute signs about peace and harmony, it's all BS. It's feel-good stuff, and they're basically robbing you of your freedoms. But they always have to have this populist scam to freaking put the wool over on the eyes of the public. And you know this old saying, I care not what the puppet is placed upon the throne of England to rule the British Empire, on which the sun never sets. The man who controls the British monetary supply controls the British Empire, and I control the British money supply. That was Nathan Rothschild himself. But I want to get in a little more than this because, Obama here talking about to each according to his need. This was a children's book with Karl Marx in it. But the other thing is that the League of Just Men, or the League of the Just, which was founded by German emigres in Paris in 1836, they were part of the utopian society, socialist society, and Christian communist group devoted to the ideas of Gratius Babus. But that is where the embryo of all this stuff came from. But they were financed by wealthy businessmen themselves. It's like, the front group looks like a bunch of poor ideologists working for nothing, working off of donations. And basically, this is a lot how the alternative media works, too. I'll tell you that right now. You better watch it. You better watch it, because the same old age-old game is going on. The buzzword is change. Anytime you see that word change, like Bill Clinton used that word change, Obama used that word change, and you also see that word change in the alternative media. That's a buzzword for, basically, I'll call it collectivism, communism, because we don't need change. We need to go back to our founding roots. Now, here JFK, there's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I shall leave this high office and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. That was 7 days before his assassination. Now, I know a lot of people might say, well, he was assassinated by this group, that group, and all this other stuff. There's a lot of theories as to why he was assassinated. I know some people saying he was assassinated by the Mossad. Some people saying it was the Israel, the Russians. It was the FBI with J. Edgar Hoover. It was the Bush family. It was LBJ. Actually, it was all the above. All the above. All the above. It's not like one group. And that's usually what happens. A lot of forces kind of collide and collude to actually push something one way. It doesn't just happen where it's one group. It's a nice niche thing to say it's one group that did this and one group that did that, and you know what I'm getting at, because some of the conspiracy theorists, which are not theorists, but they seem to like to focus in only on Jewish people only. I have to dispel that myth, because it's it could be the Mossad area, it could be the mafia, it could be the Russians, the communists who was against, it could be J. Edgar Hoover, it could be the Bush family, it could be LBJ, who was a jealous, I don't know, anybody, But there's a lot of things that actually assassinated JFK. Democracy is the road to socialism, another quote by Karl Marx. But also, if you go back to the Greeks, democracy is the road to totalitarianism and dictatorships, and socialism basically is a dictatorship where the ruling elite tell the masses what their needs are, and they divide up the resources according to their needs as they seem fit. And who the ones that are behind this communist ideology are the corporate powers themselves. The corporate powers, actually, if you look at a quote from John D. Rockefeller Sr. himself, competition is a sin. So many times they'll make lots of excess government regulation to stifle competition, to keep the entrepreneur, the laissez-faire capitalism at a minimum. They don't want competition. They hate competition. They hate upstarts. They hate people who are going to give products to the people for less cost. No, they don't want that. Now, the other thing is with the Rothschilds, they financed Adolf Hitler too. Now, this is another thing where, a lot of times on YouTube, they'll say the Rothschilds, they make this association, Rothschild equals Jewish. And I say that is a bad association, and I have to dispel that myth too, because the thing is, with Hitler, he did kill millions and millions of Jews, and I'm going to tell you this, I think, not that I can prove this, but it's kind of like simple deduction, that the skull that they found of Adolf Hitler, that was supposedly the skull where he committed suicide and all that, that was on display in the Soviet Union, and when they examined it in the 1990s, they found that it was not Adolf Hitler. They absolutely proved that it was not Adolf Hitler. It was a 40-year-old person. It was like, everything was wrong on it. There was like Adolf Hitler had one testicle and everything. The whole skeleton was off. The DNA, the age, everything. There's a lot of other stories out there where he escaped possibly to Argentina and lived his days, and with other Nazi elite. He initially probably escaped Germany and via U-boats to Antarctica, and then made their way to South America. But if that's the case, the powers that be ignored this, and which tells you there's a group that is controlling the world that are not Jewish. If you want to put it to that, I just want to put it to you bluntly. If Adolf Hitler actually escaped and got away with things, and it does look that way, there's a group that's controlling this world. The real New World Order is not Jewish. So look elsewhere before you pull out the scapegoats. And Rothschild does not equate with Jewish. Just got to put this way, because I just want to tell you first, that Karl Marx was related to Rothschild. Karl Marx was financed by Rothschild, but Rothschild does not equal Jewish. Okay, they're not synonymous, synonyms or synonymous, because that's what a lot of people do. But this guy here, as far as Obama, he is a Rothschild puppet. And, the buzzword was change. When he went into office, we are change, we're going to change, and big huggy feely seance type thing, just like usual. But you'll see this same type of word crop up in the alternative media and alternative groups. But basically, every time they use that word, it's a buzzword for communism, collectivism. We don't need change. We need to go back to what our founding fathers really wanted. And you can say, let's not use that cliche phrase, founding fathers, but let's just call it this way, laissez-faire capitalism. People work hard to get more money that way. They don't have to work hard and be on a treadmill, and they get piecemeal a certain amount as dictated by the socialist collectivists who own your fruits and labors. To hell with that garbage. That's bullshit. I'll tell you that right now. So, anyway, to sum it up, looks like Karl Marx was indeed financed by the Rothschilds and indeed related to the Rothschilds. And this game has been going on a long, long time. But the other sum it up again, the Rothschilds does not equate with Jewish. For crying out loud, I'm getting tired of this stuff on the internet, because every time they say, oh. Anyway, over and out.